Here we go. Check this out.
Residents in southern Tasmania are demanding to know why cloud seeding was conducted over the Derwent River catchment the day before the worst floods in 40 years. Cloud seeding is a technique used to increase rain. Hydro Tasmania has confirmed it flew a cloud seeding flight despite the weather warnings. Farmers believe the technique could have made the flooding worse. The Premier says a formal inquiry will be held into the effect and handling of the floods if it's necessary.
And also, you actually have a mainstream that comes out about the cloud seeding operations, but take a look at that little thumbnail I got right there. I got that last night, but I couldn't share it. And they've since took it down off Craigslist, but they're calling for crisis actors for an event in Las Vegas on Memorial Day weekend. So heads up in Las Vegas. False flag alert. Anyway, anytime we see these things, nothing good ever comes out. Anyway, guys, here we go. Let's jump into this article from the Hydro Tasmania, asked to explain cloud seeding the day before the flooding. Tasmania's government-owned energy company has been asked to explain why it conducted cloud seeding over the Derwent River catchment the day before the flooding began this week. The catchment flooded on Monday near southern Tasmania, where the search continues for a missing farmer. So at least one person has been killed, one is still missing. The cloud seeding technique is used to increase rain and bolster dams, and involves the addition of a substance to suitable clouds to encourage the growth of ice crystals or raindrops. I'm not going to get into all that part, but the farmers are demanding answers. Why are they not demanding answers here in the United States? That's because our government hides this as much as possible, even though we show all the companies that do it around the world. They're the ones that are being sneaky and hiding what they're really doing. And the hydro company, the power company, oh heck no, they're not in a position to comment. So yeah, okay, so the Bureau had flood warnings in place, shows the cloud seeding operations. It's nice to see a mainstream come out and show what they're doing. We see these patterns in our skies all over the world. So anyway, thumbs up for these guys down here in Australia for coming up with this. And, you know, we got companies like this over in the Middle East, the Weather Generator Project. And if you look at this, their little slogan here, it says, you know, first they praise the Allah, but then they say the hour will not begin until the land of the Arabs once again becomes meadows and rivers. You know, they're enhancing the rain. So here's the situation today. No rain for statistics, lots of dust. It said the second day of the experiment, the company Global Climate Control. From the beginning of this experiment, we want to draw your attention not only to the possible increase of rainfall in the territory of the United Arab Emirates, play a much more important factor when working with the atmosphere is the purity of the atmospheric air. We are in our urban settings and breathe the air 24 hours a day, so they're going to try to, they show how they clean the air with this technology. But you want to wait till you see this. This is crazy. You know how we always pull out the microwaves coming off the next reds? There you go. They're showing that their weather generator is off, but the company Global Climate Control is using the satellite, just like they do, just like the Miles Research Company uses. They use the electromagnetic, and that's why we're seeing these circles around their NEXRAD, because they use the NEXRADs to steer the atmospheric rivers. So the official date, they were supposed to start on the 20th, but they end up firing up back on the 13th. They started early. So here's another company that admits that they use the weather generators. And then they also have this new company coming in for 1 month to show off their technology. And that company is this company right here, the Global Control Trading Company. You know, this is mainly for the governments. We got, you know, some videos from these guys and stuff. But they use the ground-based radars to do their projects here. They can rise the groundwater level. They can elimination of factors generating dust storms, changing the average levels of precipitation. They can change the maximum and average temperature. They have the control of the thermostat. They can do the reduction of groundwater salinity. And they can create and fill fresh water reservoirs. You know, kind of like what's happening here in the States. They can do creation of a large volume of water. This technology is just, it's about the next radars, man. So, yeah, not only do you have this company, you have the Miles Research Company, who did the project back on January 28th, the rainfall intervention. There were some fires going on in the same place down here in Tasmania. And he did the satellite meteorology, steered the atmospheric river, and put the fires out. Just within a few, you know, like 10 days. He took a droughted country and flooded it out. He did get the fires out, though. So this stuff is going on, even though the United States is not going to talk about it at all, because they hide that stuff. Now we got a mega fire going on up in Canada.
News out of Alberta. The town of High Level has just issued an evacuation order because of danger posed by an out-of-control wildfire. Several thousand people are being told to leave town. For more on the situation, we're joined now by CBC meteorologist Brett Soderholm. And maybe you can tell us what the current situation is.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, in a word, the situation is just dangerously dry. And based on this new evacuation order, it doesn't really come as a surprise. There's been a deficit of rain in the air.
You want to know why it's dry up in Canada? Because they stole the atmospheric river. The atmospheric river that used to go up into the Aleutian Island chain, then it swirls around up in the north. They stole it, and they have it guided into the west coast. That's what's going on. That's the real truth. They're using the satellite meteorology. This is a crazy fire going on up here around northern Alberta. It's ranked at the highest danger level, conditions expected to worsen. And this fire looked just like the beginning of the Paradise Fire, and I'm going to show you that here in just a minute. We got evacuations going on here in Missouri, Texas, Oklahoma from the floods. While we're flooding, they're on fire. You got man-made projects going on all over with the rain, man. It's going on. And all these disinformation sites out here saying it's not going on, man, kiss our ass, because we got proof that shows it is. We're going to also check the dam levels and stuff like that. And here you go. Here's before the fire started. We're looking up here at Canada. Here's Montana, North Dakota. Check this out. This is on the 18th. We go right up to the 19th. That looked just like the beginning of the Paradise Fire. You got a couple fires going, but here was just going up to the 20th. Look, the whole damn place is starting to catch on fire. Going up to today. Look at all these fires, and guess what's going on with the fires? Heavy aerosols. Same thing we've seen before the fires of Paradise. These are not planes putting the fires out. These are the planes starting the fires. These are the ones laying down the accelerants. So we can see more fires are going to pop off. Mega spraying operations up here. South Africa. If this isn't steering the atmospheric river straight up, these things don't go straight up. This thing is being pulled straight up. So they're this is the same place David Miles did. He made it snow. They don't use aerosols, but there's aerosols all up in here. You can see the X's. We changed the layers. I had to refresh the computer, so I don't have all the layers loaded, so we'd have to wait on them. So man, there's tons of weather engineering programs going on, and only a few of them are admitting to it. Why they're flooding out, why they're burning out the people on the West Coast, and then they just turn right around and flood them out, even though they were in a drought for years. Why was they in a drought? Because that guy, David Miles, I showed you, he did a test down here in Texas. He used a military installation site and steered the atmospheric river. He stole the river from Texas and brought it up into the Gulf of Mexico back in 2012. That's where you got all the giant hail, the 4 feet of hail, floods. That all come from the Miles Research Company. Back then it was called Aquez and Sci Blue. And that's how they stole California's rain. And then it stayed like that for years until the Paradise Fires. You know, the atmospheric river used to go right up into the Aleutian Island chain. You can go back and look at all the mimic maps. You can go back to the archive and see. I've been documenting this for years. It just swirled right on up. I don't have that up here. We'll bring that up real quick. It's madness out there, man. They're controlling the weather. They have the control on the thermostat of the weather, but yet they're going to try to blame us in our cars for it. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the mimic map. Let's get it loaded. So we are under attack. The whole planet is, by the mad scientists that have their hands on the control. Now you see right here, this atmospheric river is trying to go up to the Aleutian Island chain like it always had. It always had before the Paradise Fires. And then suddenly there's a blast wave out here. And you can go back and watch my videos of when I covered the Paradise Fires. There was a blast wave that come off of that. And ever since then, now they steer the atmospheric river right down into right at the border of Northern California and Oregon. It's been going on till just like right recently. You watch, they're going to pull that sucker back down. It's going to take a turn, like an unnatural turn. We watch it over and over. We documented the fires getting put out down here in Tasmania. We watched them as the program was going. Now we're watching over here in the United Arab Emirates. We're watching them pull the atmospheric river up with the NEXRADs. You know, we're not even talking about the ionospheric heaters and the HARP arrays. If you haven't seen them, here's a good place to go. Go to climateviewer3d.org, and you can see all the weather generating tools out here that these madmen have. So let me load up some here. Let's go to pollution and privacy. We go ahead and load up HARP. Everybody talks HARP. HARP is just a place. There's tons of ionospheric heaters worldwide, and we're going to put them on here. In fact, we got them on there. You got the high frequency active aurora research, which is HARP. And we'll load up we don't need the Russian woodpecker thing. That thing's out of commission. You got all the stuff going on down there in the Antarctica. The digisons, got to have them on there because that's how they bounce the high frequencies. Basically, here's how it works. They turn the ionosphere into a plasma antenna, and then they bounce the high frequencies to these digisons, and then they can come back out in low frequencies, extremely low frequencies, and super low. They can create earthquakes and all kinds of stuff. Even though they say they can't, they can. Just like ground penetrating radar. One of them little ground penetrating radars can cause a 4.7 earthquake. So, you know, they lie so much. that it's unbelievable. So here we go. I have all the ionospheric heaters on here. We have the VLF transmitters. We have the digisons, the ones that they use to bounce the frequencies off. And you can watch, these are all, let me get a better base map so I can see things better. Nice crowd out there. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for trying to learn what's going on with the weather, because it's not natural at all. And it's places, you know, like down here in Peru. Did anybody know about this? This is bigger than the HARP facility. Did you know about this? Just click on that. This thing is hidden back in the mountains. Look at this sucker. It's a 4.5 megawatts incoherent scatter radar. This thing is huge, man. It's way bigger at HARP. Now you've seen all the James Bond movies. Look right over here. See, they can triangulate all these damn things. You got one right here, Arecibo. This thing is big as a city. This thing is freaking huge, and they're getting ready to build a ionospheric heater inside of it. Inside it. This thing's got 600,000 watts. 200 megawatts. And they're getting ready to build a monster one. I mean, one that's 100 times more powerful than HARP. And if they get this thing built, we got problems, because they could definitely steer the jet streams with no problems. This will be full weather geostorm. This one's the IceCat. This one here is Tromso, but I'm looking for the IceCat. Here it is right here. The Tromos, I don't know how to pronounce that. IceCat 3D. They're going to upgrade this thing to 100 gigawatts. Remember the movie Back to the Future? Yeah, that's what we're talking, man. We're talking mass amounts of power. They'll be able to bend the ionosphere. I mean, they're going to be able to do some crazy stuff. You know, just recently we had over at HARP. You know, HARP's over here. Hell, you got one right here. You got this one here's another scatter radar. 2 megawatts, phased array. These are all phased array antennas. Look, there's one over here in Japan. 46.5 megahertz phased array. This is all the stuff they use to affect the weather. You got one over here in India. You got one up in up there where where is that? Right. That's the Russian one, I think. This one's in Russia. There's one in Ukraine, too. See what this is. That's the Russian woodpeckers. Yeah, there's all kinds of weird antennas out here. You got all the low frequencies that tie together. And then you got all these digisons that they can bounce after they, you know, snap the ionosphere with these high frequencies, and they can, you know, blast them out. And then with that gets us into the radars, which we'll get into the radars in a minute here. We got to check the dam levels out here in California. And, you know, they're getting ready to open some dams up here in Missouri. They're going to open them up. They're going to flood some towns and cities out. There's nowhere for the water to go. Next week it's going to get worse. Nobody can plant no food. Food prices will skyrocket next year. I mean, it's going to be some new world order stuff. You watch, it's coming. There's no way around it. Not unless you want to eat the 3D printed food and the Franken meat and the meat in the Petri dish and all that stuff. So we just reported that the one of these dams was getting ready to bust or something. I think it was this one here, the Don Pedro. I reported something on that yesterday. It's 120% above average. The McClure Dam, 134% above average. Look at all of them. All of them but one is no, that was the only one that's below average. Every dam in California is above average except for one. Only one. And it kind of sits off by itself. And you got to wonder if the top dam goes, all that water is going to come on down, and it could possibly cause like a domino effect. So Oroville is on everybody's mind. Let's take a look at the Oroville one. Yeah, man, it's a bad deal coming up, and it's all engineered. That's the deal. This stuff isn't by chance. It's always on purpose, and it's always a multifaceted thing. So we take a look at it. It looks like it's kind of holding steady right now. But, I mean, there is no playroom right here. None. So it's kind of holding steady, which is good. We're at 115%. We're at 96% total capacity. So you only have 4% until it goes over the dam. So that's pretty insane. So Mount Shasta, it's at 97%. It's getting ready to go on up, man. Not a whole lot left here. So it's 97% of the total capacity. It's kind of on the uptrend. So it looks like it went up there before. What's this? So back in 1977, it did go up above where it's at now. And in 1982, 83, it's gone up almost like right at the edge. So let's hope they don't get a bunch more rain, or these things will go. So we'll just see how that goes. We'll be watching it. We'll check the weather. Let's go ahead and check the composite radars. A lot of these radars had I think it was a $20 billion upgrade, across the whole United States. So some of them are omnidirectional now. When we're seeing all these crazy, what I call searchlight mode spikes, when you get these down here, like over here in Southern California, Mexico, once this thing loads, you're going to see these are military radars. They're not even on this map, but they're putting off some crazy stuff, which we picked up in Australia quite a few years ago. They even did a TV show about the radar anomalies, and it ended up being the David Miles research project. So we know that these are used for weather engineering. We just got to wait for this thing to load. In this storm, man, it's still popping off tornadoes right now as we speak in southern Missouri, over in Illinois. These storms, it's cold out. It is freaking cold, man. We are having tornadoes in 60-degree weather. That shouldn't even be possible. Look, we got new tornado warnings up in Kansas, going up into northern Missouri. So you have tornado blasts going on down here in Arizona. And I seen a big searchlight beam earlier down here in Nevada. So these radars are doing some look, they shut it off, and then it blasts back on. And what I want you to really notice is, see how all these are kind of bloomed up? When they turn these up and the rain's coming at them, they want to slow the storm down. See how they're turned off? They're letting the moisture go through. They're turning the radars off, letting the moisture come through. But when they want to stop it, they crank them up. And you'll see it. You just watch this. And I've been documenting this stuff for years. Look, they're trying to slow it down, so they crank it up. Look, they turn it off right out ahead of where they want it to go. That's how they steer them. Once they go by, sometimes they'll crank them up, and it pushes the storm off faster. So Missouri, we had tons of tornadoes today in 60-degree weather. The atmosphere is supposed to stabilize every time we get, a little rain thing in here. These are all completely engineered, steered storms. You know, the same companies that I showed you earlier, they offer tornado mitigation. There's that big beam down in here. We'll just zoom in on that. Check out these two crazy NextRad, you know, microwaves. Like, I could jump into the dual pole NextRad, and we can watch these things up close and change the tilts and everything. We can find out exactly which tilt. We can show you that it's pumping out the microwaves, and we just got to wait for this to load. There's the military radars going off there in southern Bajas, or northern Bajas there, part of California. Now look at that. See, they turned the radar off, and when they cranked it on, man, it just fried the sky. They probably burn up some birds. Now these, I've got tons of captures like this down in Australia when they were doing the rain making project down here. These things were just blowing up. So they turned it off. When they cranked it on, man, they just superheated the sky. So after all these storms, they're have to reset these things. Now check out this beam that I'm going to show you down here in Nevada. Hopefully this one will pick it up, and I'll explain what this beam is. So let's see if this thing is still on here. Hopefully it hasn't refreshed yet. So welcome in everybody out there on YouTube. Nice giant crowd out there in YouTube. We got good crowd over at the D Live, and pretty good crowd there on Twitch. Hold on, there it is. There's our beams. All right, let's stop that. Now these things, there's regulations on these beams right here. Now I need to see how long these beams ran. So we're at 23, 25, 23, 30, 23, 40, 23, 45, 23, 50. Okay, so these are running way over the amount of time they're supposed to run. If these things are beaming out for more than 5 to 7 minutes, then they're cooking the sky, man. There's regulations on these. This is called searchlight mode. Let's jump into that radar itself, and we'll be able to look at it and see what kind of crazy stuff's going on around it. So let's jump right into that radar. Yeah, it's nuts. It pisses me off that they're doing this, you know. I should be working on my house, but yet I gotta expose the freaking crimes against humanity going on above our skies, man. It's ridiculous.